My name is Xavier Duran, and I am the Director of MBA programs here at the Alliance Manchester Business School. So as such, I look after our portfolio of MBA programs. So our full-time MBA programs and our suite of professional part-time MBA. So that is our Global MBA, our Global Executive MBA, and indeed as well, the program that we will be focusing on at today's session, which is our Kelley Manchester Global MBA program. I'm delighted to be here simply to tell you about this collaboration that we have with the Kelley School of Business at Indiana University, because it's an absolutely amazing opportunity for potential applicants and indeed as well for graduates to earn 2 degrees from 2 top universities at either side of the Atlantic. So to be earning the Global MBA from the University of Manchester, and indeed as well to be earning the Kelley Direct MBA from the Kelley School of Business at Indiana University, with everything that comes with it. So not only 2 lines in your CV, but indeed as well access to 2 sets of faculty, access to pools of alumni communities all over the world, access to 2 sets of electives, access to 2 sets of professors, and indeed as well, it is without a doubt our most flexible of all our professional MBA deliveries. In that, we're able to provide you with a lot of flexible options in terms of choice of electives, in terms of choice of mode of delivery, online, face-to-face, blended, and so on. So delighted to speak about this. But before I do so, before I get into the nitty-gritty and the detail of the actual joint program of studies between ourselves at the Alliance Manchester Business School and the Kelley School of Business, first of all, I would like to remind everybody what an MBA is. Beyond the obvious, an MBA is Master of Business Administration. The MBA really is a generic business and management qualification. And notice that I'm not using the words broad and generic in a pejorative sense whatsoever, actually quite the opposite. I'm using them in the sense that people that tend to come to do an MBA come because they want to become generalists. This is what we call a post-experience qualification. So everybody that comes to do an MBA, may that be full-time or part-time, it really doesn't matter, will come to do an MBA because they're interested to try to become more synthetic managers, because they want to get a more holistic picture about how business and management is actually performed. You guys all already come with a certain level of expertise. You might be engineers, you might be project managers, computer scientists, perhaps people in the military, you might be in healthcare, you might be in sales, you might be in finance, you might be bankers. Literally, the MBA will attract people from absolutely every single walk of life. But sometimes what happens is that you see yourselves as being pigeonholed, being siloed into a very specific niche, functional area, an area of expertise perhaps within your organizations. And you're finding it very difficult to break away from perhaps that glass ceiling that's been created around you, where it's very difficult to convince others that you're in a position perhaps to manage beyond that very small niche silo or functional area, that you perhaps can go into more synthetic, more holistic, more managerial roles within the organization. This is in essence what an MBA does. The MBA will give you the grounding as to how organizations work, and will usually start by looking at pretty much every single functional area within the organization, might that be marketing, operations, finance, HR, and that will obviously be interspersed with courses on quantitative methods, on organizational behavior, organizational design, all that sort of thing. And then it will actually bring all those different functional areas in the form of a more cohesive strategic management course. And then you will be able to customize your MBA journey through your choice of electives, your capstone project, and so on. So to that point, there is not much difference from a curricular perspective on what we do in Manchester, what the Kelley School of Business at Indiana University does, and what the vast majority of MBAs, particularly those who are actually accredited by the likes of the AACSB, EQUIS, the Association of MBAs, like we are. The MBA needs to do a job, so give that holistic picture, and it's usually those international accreditation bodies that will dictate what's expected of an MBA to be able to accredit it. The difference is how we deliver those MBAs. So whether that is because we're doing it full-time, because we're actually doing it in a part-time basis, and if so, whether we're doing it online, whether we're actually doing it in a blended format, how blended that format is, whether we're actually providing you with international opportunities, whether we're actually allowing you to have extracurricular activity, whether you have access to specific networks, whether you are getting an MBA from a top university or from a lower ranked university, whether your programs are actually ranked by specific ranking publications or ranking houses, or indeed, whether your program is actually being jointly delivered or whether it's actually a standalone university. And this is particularly where our Kelley Manchester MBA comes in. We're actually marrying the MBAs from two top universities. So our standard global MBA and the Kelley Direct MBA from Indiana universities are married to create a joint program of studies that allows you to earn potentially the 2 degrees, the global MBA and the Manchester MBA. And rather than making you go through this program of studies by replicating the whole Kelley Direct program and the whole global MBA program, what we do is we come up with a form of mutually recognizing credit scheme that allows us to create one program of studies without having to replicate your marketing courses, your finance courses, your strategy courses, and so on, so that you can go through one program of studies leading to that ability to earn 2 different awards and having access to 2 world-leading universities with everything that that brings. The MBA is without a doubt the business and management qualification par excellence. So it's one that's been around for a long, long, long time, since 1908. So I was just speaking before this webinar with a group of alumni that completed our full-time MBA here in Manchester back in 2011. And they were actually asking, so what is the status of the MBA today? I said, well, the MBA is an incredibly resilient qualification. You see different areas of expertise, different industries come and go in popularity. Remember, a long time ago, the built environment was very big, or real estate or computer science. And as there's booms and busts in different industries, usually different programs of studies become more popular or less popular. The MBA is always, always, always there, precisely because of that generality, that broadness that provides you, that versatility that it gives you, that no wonder and no matter what background professional you're coming from, you are in a position to basically persuade any employer that you have that versatility, that agility, those broad skills that can be used literally on every single industry, on every single professional background. It tends to attract ambitious individuals looking to transform their careers. That goes without saying, either because they're actually just trying to move upwards within the organizations, perhaps because they're actually trying to take lateral step, perhaps to go to a different industry, to a different company within the same industry, or perhaps because they simply want to use this as a juncture to set up their own business, gain some knowledge and expertise about how they go about coming up with new entrepreneurial ideas and how to finance them. As I said, also is a generalist business management qualification. And in our case, it is certainly the case that we very much so want to provide a very, very global background to our students. And in so doing, not only we do offer it through our network of international centers in Dubai, here in Manchester, and certainly as well in Shanghai, Hong Kong, Singapore, but also in acting in partnership with the Kelley School of Business at Indiana University. We also offer it through their campus at Bloomington in Indiana, which I will speak about shortly, but also in their satellite campuses as well in Washington, D.C., for example, in the Washington campus. And it goes without saying that the MBA is well known as a great networking platform, and no better networking platform than having two sources of alumni communities to be building on. Again, I will speak about this shortly. Our program is the Global MBA, which we deliver through our network of international centers in Dubai, in Manchester, indeed our centers in the Far East, in Shanghai, in Hong Kong, and in Singapore. Then obviously we have also our Global Executive MBA, which is based for a close cohort of very, very senior individuals, usually at C-suite level or nearing board level, that travel around the world for 18 months to take workshops as a close cohort. And the one that we're presenting today, which is our Kelley Manchester MBA, which again, as I said earlier, marries both our Global MBA and the Kelley Direct MBA from Indiana University to be able to create that one program of study, which within, again, 2 years allows you to earn 2 degrees, one MBA from the United States and one MBA from the United Kingdom. And that, again, gives you plenty of flexibility, as I will speak about shortly. And this is indeed what I will be focusing on, speaking about this Kelley Manchester MBA today. And I will start off by perhaps giving you a bit of a background to our institutions, so to the University of Manchester and Alliance Manchester Business School being part of the University of Manchester, and indeed as well to the Kelley School of Business being part of Indiana University in the United States. But even as I do that, I think it's very relevant and very timely that I also provide you with a bit of a background about the cities where our institutions are actually based. So University of Manchester, as the name suggests, is based out of Manchester here in the United Kingdom. We are the largest campus-based university in the United Kingdom. We're based here in the city of Manchester, so we're not in the suburbs or anything. We're right at the city, and we really feed from the energy that the city really triggers. This is an absolutely amazing city from its culture that takes the form on a very vibrant music and art scene. I'm sure many of you know us because of two teams that tend to make the news every weekend. So of course we've got Manchester United and Manchester City, but indeed ours is a city as well that has been quite famous as being the cradle of the Industrial Revolution. So indeed is where capitalism was actually born, and it's no coincidence that it was actually born here, because Manchester has got this very strong entrepreneurship spirit that is really part of its DNA. Scientifically, we're incredibly well known, and again, the University of Manchester has been right at the very forefront of the science advancements here, anywhere from physics to chemistry to material science to economics, and indeed many Nobel Prizes have been going through our university. I think we count up to 25 Nobel Prizes between students and academics over the history of our university. So in terms of the institution in itself, we are quite a well-established university, as all our marketing collateral reminds us of. We're a university founded back in 1824. I already mentioned our reputation credentials from in essence, counting up to 25 Nobel Prize winners being in some way ascribed to our institution, former staff, current staff, students, former students. We are triply accredited as a business school. So we're accredited by the AACSB in the United States, by the EFMD Acquis accreditation here in Europe, and then by the Association of MBA accreditation in the United Kingdom in itself. We are part of a business school. We are the largest business school in the United Kingdom, being part of the University of Manchester, with a large number of students, a large number of academics, and indeed a large presence in terms of alumni and reputation all over the world. We are what we call a full-service business school, in that we, in essence, provide undergraduate education, postgraduate education, so MSCs in essence, MBA training, doctoral training at DBA and PhD level, also executive education, and indeed as well, we have plenty of world-leading research, either by our academics or even embedded or housed within our top research institutes. You may have heard some, like the Sustainable Consumption Institute, or the Productivity Institute, or the Work and Equalities Institute. They're world leading in specific areas of research. But in addition to our presence here in Manchester, which you can see from my window where I'm staying at the moment, we have international centers from which we actually deliver our MBAs. Obviously, Dubai, who are hosting this webinar formally today, and where we actually have a large number of MBAs. We've graduated over 2,000 MBAs from our Middle East Center in Dubai, and we take on many MBAs every single year. But we also have very well established centers in Singapore and in Hong Kong that have been in existence for around 30 years, so since the early 1990s. And we also have a center in Shanghai, and obviously Manchester in itself acts as a center in Sao Paulo in Brazil. Our college, some data here with students from plenty of nationalities and so on. But I want to focus perhaps a bit more on our colleagues at Indiana University. So just to let you know that Indiana University is headquartered in a lovely little town in the middle of Indiana in the United States, in the Midwest region, called Bloomington. And whilst Bloomington is a small town, it's actually quite interesting to note, and I've obviously gone to Bloomington a good few times, that Bloomington is an absolutely amazing town. It is quite dominated by Indiana University, which is a really big institution in its own right, very reputable. It was created pretty much around the same time as the University of Manchester. So we were created in 1824. Indiana University was created in 1820. So in many regards, we're actually quite similar institutions. Also a research powerhouse, and with very high standing in the United States. But it's actually, as I said, located in Bloomington in Indiana. And for those of you who may have actually seen these films about college towns in the United States, I think Bloomington really epitomizes that typical college town. Is absolutely fantastic with those neo-Gothic buildings, very vibrant, and indeed, actually, since it hosts a very famous school of music, and obviously is home to the to one of the major Tibetan Buddhist cultural centers in the whole of the United States. So you would usually or quite frequently see loads of stars from Hollywood attending some of the sessions in Bloomington in Indiana. And indeed, the brother of the Dalai Lama actually used to live there for a long time until he unfortunately passed away a few years ago. But it's an absolutely amazing place, and it's actually consistently voted as one of the most beautiful campuses in the whole of the United States. Amazing sports facilities, as well, as you would expect from a very big university in the United States. And again, they come with amazing credentials in terms of Nobel Prizes and research reputation. Indeed, actually, one of their most recent Nobel Prizes was in economics by actually a lady, Eleanor Ostrom, in the field of institutional economics and transaction cost economics and so on, who gained her Nobel Prize in economics back in 2009. Unfortunately, she passed away She passed away since. But to perhaps tell you a bit more about the institution in itself, and I already mentioned, if we were here in Manchester, created as a university back in 1824, they were created just 4 years before them. They have slightly more staff and students than us here in Manchester. Here in Manchester, we have around 10,000, 12,000 staff. They have nearly double, and they have more than double the amount of students that we have. We have around 45,000 here in Manchester. They have 9 campus locations. Their headquarters is in Bloomington, Indiana, but they have outreach campuses as well in Indianapolis and in other parts, mainly of North Indiana, so perhaps closer to Chicago. And in the case of the business school, our business school here in Manchester was created in 1965. So we celebrated our 50th anniversary in 2015. They celebrated in Kelley their 100th anniversary just 2 years ago, as they actually were created back in 1920, 100 years after they created the university in itself. So some things in terms of our institutions, we have over 60,000 alumni all over the world from Manchester, and we also are very, very lucky to be able to offer our joint program with the Kelley School of Business at Indiana University, simply because that allows graduates to be able to tap into their community of alumni of over 115,000 alumni, which is amazing. So in essence, this joint program gives you access to double the amount of alumni really all over the world. So a couple of bits and pieces about the two institutions. I think I've already mentioned that we are AAA accredited. We do incredibly well in the rankings. So obviously we are ranked here at Alliance Manchester Business School quite highly in the Financial Times rankings. So are Indiana University, and their Kelley Direct program is ranked #1 consistently in the United States by many ranking houses. So basically, it's just to give you the idea that you're looking at 2 top institutions in both sides of the Atlantic. But just to tell you a bit more about the program in itself, and this is quite important to note, the program is actually made up of a combination of both our Global MBA and Kelley's Direct MBA. So in essence, this is not a joint program that will see you being separate to other MBAs from Manchester or other MBAs from the Kelley School of Business. Quite the opposite. What we've been able is to, again, as I said earlier, find a way to mutually recognize credit leading to the Global MBA from Manchester and to the Kelley Direct from Indiana University, so that within 2 years, you don't have to replicate every single marketing course, every single finance course, every single strategy course, but instead within 2 years, you can actually then get an MBA program of studies that can allow you to earn both the Kelley Direct MBA and the Global MBA. So half the program, you will be taking it with the Kelley Direct MBA students, mainly online, and the other half of the program, you will be taking with the Global MBAs by the University of Manchester, so by Alliance Manchester Business School. And the beauty of this is that not only that gives you access to two sources of alumni communities, to sources of faculty, 2 sources of electives. So as you can see, the choice of electives that you have is ginormous, because you get all the electives of the Global MBA and all the electives in the Kelley Direct to choose from. But also you get access to pastoral care, career services, libraries, and so on from the 2 institutions. And then more importantly, that you can earn 2 MBA awards. Interesting from the point of view of comparing, for example, the Kelley Manchester MBA to our more standard global MBA is the fact that this is our most flexible offering. In that, the global MBA, flexible as it may be, is making you come to a certain amount, around 30 days of face-to-face workshops. Whereas the Kelley Manchester MBA, because half of the MBA is delivered by Kelley fully online, what that means is that you have to come to less face-to-face teaching. However, whilst, and I'll go through that program structure in a moment, whilst the default position is around 17 face-to-face days over the 2 years, you can actually reduce it if you decide to take much of the global MBA workshops virtually, which is possible, or indeed you can actually expand that to 25 days or thereabouts if you decided to, for example, take a fully face-to-face elective that the Kelley the Kelley School of Business offers for students in this joint program to take at Washington DC on public management, or indeed if you take some of our electives here in Manchester that are a bit longer than 3 days, for example, advanced strategic management or big data analytics and so on, which might have like 4 or 5 face-to-face days of workshops. So there's quite a bit of flex. So just to guide you through the structure in itself, in the very first year, what we do is to make sure that even though you're actually going to be mixing for the 2 years with Kelley Direct students for the Kelley delivered courses and with global MBA students, either in Dubai or in Manchester, in Hong Kong, in Singapore, in Shanghai, in Sao Paulo, it doesn't matter. We want to make sure that those of you that come to do the Kelley Manchester MBA have some time together face-to-face at the very beginning of the program. So what we do is we ask you to come at the very beginning of August to the main campus of Indiana University at Bloomington, Indiana. And there, what you do is you actually meet both faculty from Kelley, but also faculty from Alliance Manchester Business School. So what we do is we host you, first of all, at Kelley, but it's actually us from Manchester sending academics to Kelley to teach you the first class on leading and managing the global environment. Then what you do is, for the very first term, you will actually also be taking quantitative methods as a course from Kelley. So everything that is in red is from Kelley, everything that is blue is from Manchester. So you will be taking an online course on quantitative methods and an online course on strategic marketing management between roughly September time and December time. Then in your second semester, so between January 2023 and June 2023, you will be taking mainly Manchester courses. So you would be taking a Leading and Managing the Global Environment Part B course, so basically a course on HR, culture management, organizational behavior, organizational design, and so on. And the very first of the Alliance Manchester Business School electives at any of the centers of your choosing. And you can actually take it either in Manchester, you can actually take it in Dubai, you can take it in Shanghai, Hong Kong, Singapore, wherever you want. In addition to that, during this term, you will also be taking Accounting and Business fully online offered by Manchester, and then one fully online course from the Kelley Direct offered by Indiana University on operations management. On your second year, you would come to the very first semester. So we'll be looking at the period between July 23 and December 23, where you will be taking 4 Kelley courses. Most of them would be delivered virtually, which is what the Kelley Direct is about. In particular, you would be taking financial management and strategic management and business planning courses, but you would also be taking your 2 electives from Kelley. Interestingly enough, if you wanted more face-to-face, one of the electives that you can take, as I said a bit earlier, is one on public management, which you take as a Kelley elective out of Washington, DC, so the Washington campus. And it's a great opportunity for you to go for, I think it's around 5 days to Washington, D.C., where you can actually basically take a course on how politics and business are interspersed. And it's a great opportunity for you to meet congressmen and senators and people from some of the international institutions out in Washington, D.C. Really, really well-received course usually. And then on your last semester, so I'm speaking here between January 2024 and June 2024, you will be taking 2 electives from Manchester. So basically you're taking 2 3-day workshops anywhere you want at one of our international centers, either Dubai, Manchester, Hong Kong, Singapore, China, Sao Paulo. You will also be taking a class online on talent management by Kelley. And then for those 6 months, you also do a supervised project, and you get to choose whether you want to do it with Manchester staff, so Manchester academics, or with Kelley academics. Then once you actually finish, you become a member of both the Indiana's alumni community and the Manchester alumni community. So great opportunities really there. As you can see, one of the key benefits here from the program of studies is that in total, you're actually taking 5 electives. You're taking 3 electives that will lead to the Manchester Award, and you will be taking 2 electives that will be leading to the Kelley Award. So 5 electives in total, quite a bit. And of course, because you're actually drawing from 2 sources of electives, you have a lot of choice to choose from. I've only put a sample here, but say, for example, in Manchester, we offer around 25 electives at any one time. And then, of course, Kelley then have their own portfolio of electives. So anything from international business strategy to marketing in an era of digital technology, to strategic entrepreneurship, to the US and the global economy, strategic financial analysis, negotiation skills, management in practice. We have absolutely amazing choice of electives. And that's one of the key benefits of doing this program, that there's a lot of choice to specialize. Obviously, as I said earlier, you would attend a global immersion initially at the very beginning of August at Bloomington, Indiana in the United States. And this is quite important because if you need to get your visa sorted, you might want to obviously get your places as soon as possible so that you can start working on getting your visa to go to the United States in early August. I already mentioned this a number of times. One of the key benefits of doing the joint program is that you become an alum from 2 elite business schools around the world. You're getting to draw from the dual expertise of academics in 2 world-leading institutions. And indeed, that then you get to network and study from executives from all over the world, and you mix with students from the Kelley Direct program and from the Global MBA program. And in essence, you get to study all over the world using a global curriculum. Finally, just in terms of some flexible attributes of this joint program is the fact that this is offered in a blended delivery format. So whilst the vast majority of the modules that the Kelley part of the program are delivering are online, you still get to go to Bloomington in Indiana at the very beginning of the program, and then you get to choose where you want to take the workshops for the Manchester courses. You can take them in Dubai if you're in the Middle East, but you can actually decide to take them in Manchester. You can decide to take them in Shanghai, in Hong Kong, in Singapore, basically wherever you want. And that's another of the differences with the Global MBA program. The Global MBA, we ask you to take the core units workshops in your home center. So if you're living in the Middle East, that would be Dubai, for example. Whereas for the Kelley Manchester MBA, we allow you to take the courses wherever you want. So incredibly flexible. And because you can take them wherever you want, and we're offering all those courses basically all over the world, then in essence, you are in control pretty much of your own class schedule. Whether a specific set of dates is not suitable, you can always choose and take that workshop at another international center at a slightly different time. You can pause and extend the program at your own convenience. So we are fully in recognition of the fact that everybody that does this program does it in a part-time basis. So we provide you with ample time to pause your studies and pick them up wherever you left them. And obviously, because there's so much elective choice, you can really easily get to tailor your MBA if you're interested in marketing or in strategy or in entrepreneurship, or whether you're interested in finance or international strategy, you name it, we have it. And because you're tapping into two sources of electives, you definitely can tailor your MBA journey however you please. And finally, it goes without saying that you receive personalized career advice as much as you want. So having got to this point, I'm just going to pass it on to my colleague. And again, apologies that we're a bit late on this webinar. And as I said, we had some technical problems, which meant we ended up starting a bit late, and we possibly lost many of the people that wanted to attend this webinar, but I'm sure Ankita will make sure that we're passing on the recording to those who were not able to attend. So Ankita, over to you for more technical questions here.
Certainly. Thank you, Xavier. And as you rightly said, people joined us, eventually they were joining the webinar, though we started after the initial glitches, but we will be sharing the recording of this highly informative session with all those who have registered with us, and rest assured, all your queries and concerns will be well addressed by our team of program counselors. Moving on to the admission requirement, entry requirement for all those who have an interest to proceed and apply for Kelley Manchester MBA program. The admission process is a very user-friendly process. So we accept an application form coming from a candidate who has a formal degree and a bare minimum of at least 3 years of work experience to apply for this program. Should it be the case, if you do not have a formal academic qualification, you still have a possibility to gain a place in this program, and we call it as an experiential entry, because we would then require a minimum of say 8 to 10 years of managerial work experience, and we can still accept your application form for the program. The application form is an online process. You have to submit your application online. Once you do that, you have to undergo our Manchester admission test. Just being mindful that the admission committee will not be reviewing your application form, not unless the admission test has been attempted. So this particular Manchester admission test it's actually made up of 3 sections to check your capabilities or your aptitude on verbal, numerical, and logical. Our program counselors are there to advise and guide you how you can proceed and attempt this test. It is definitely a part of an admission criteria, and there is a minimum score required to be gained by every candidate who wish to apply. But having said that, the admission committee is going to look at the holistic view of every candidate who submits the application form. So we do give a lot of emphasis on your professional, your academic and personal achievements, and your leadership and team working skills. Even though you have secured a good score on the Manchester admission test, MAT, that does not guarantee admission, or vice versa. If you could not secure a good score, that doesn't mean you will not get admitted to the program. So when the admission committee reviews the application form of every individual, all these points are taken into consideration. So you submit your application form and it gets reviewed, and if you're shortlisted, you receive the admission offer letter, and then you have to then proceed to accept the offered seat. If I may request to move on to the next slide, Xavier. so that I can tell the audience a bit about how the costing works, because this is a very important slide. This particular program is for 2 years, which is made up of 4 semesters, as well explained by Xavier. The total program fees for Kelley Manchester Global MBA program is $68,250 US. This fee is payable in equal installments, semester-wise. So there will be 4 installments, which is payable every semester. When you accept the offer letter, you will be paying a part of your first installment to block the offered seat, and then you will be given a timeline to complete your rest of the payment to be given to complete your first semester fee process. The good news is that we do award scholarships based on merit. So you will be, you can be eligible for a scholarship which ranges from, which falls into 3 categories of $5,000, $10,000, and $15,000 respectively. This is a pure decision of the admission committee when they're reviewing your overall application docket. And based on that, they will be identifying the merit worth and will be giving you, will be rewarding you with this scholarship category. Those who have graduated from the University of Manchester or from Kelley School of Business, the alumni are eligible for a 20% bursary discount. So this is the entire financial information. I'm sure when we discuss about the fee structure, there are a lot of queries which comes up. And should you have been interacting with our program counselors, feel free to connect with them post the event and find out how best can you represent your application process. Is there any key element which you have missed out mentioning out in your profile, which may affect your overall application as a candidate, which should be shown to the committee before they take a final decision. Applications are accepted for our next intake. Our semester begins in July. So if you haven't completed your application, please proceed. And if you are a new aspirant altogether, you will be receiving a follow-up call from one of our program counselors to proceed further and start your application process with us. So with this, I'm being mindful of the time. If you have any questions, you can leave it in the chat box. We can pick it up. But Xavier, I have a question which we often come across when we are interacting with the Kelley Manchester aspirants, and I will appreciate if you can share a bit more information about what kind of networking opportunities can a student avail when they are a part of this particular program? So are they limited to the alumni of University of Manchester, or how does it go? If you can.
No. So of course, the Kelley School of Business offers the part of this joint program via their Kelley direct MBA, just as we do with our global MBA. So all the Kelley MBA opportunities to network that are afforded to the Kelley direct students are also afforded to Kelley Manchester MBA students. One key ability to network is that initial face-to-face residential that we have in Bloomington at the very beginning of August. And then, of course, it goes without saying that as part of our global MBA, we have a lot of networking opportunities as well. May that be face-to-face when you come to residentials, but indeed as well, because we have presence all over the world. So in Manchester, in Dubai, of course, in Singapore, Hong Kong, and in Shanghai. And obviously, we tend to do a lot of extracurricular activity, not just during the workshops, but outside of the workshops, with alumni communities, with employers, with socials, organized by student representatives or indeed by the student population body and so on. So plenty of networking opportunities.
Fantastic. We have also been asked, very specific question when it relates to that apart from 17 days of face-to-face workshop, the program structure reflects approximately or how many virtual sessions are conducted during this entire program duration.
How many, sorry, online sessions, is it?
Virtual sessions, yeah, the online sessions.
Oh, too many to count.
Okay.
So obviously the instructional design of the units delivered or the modules, if you will, delivered by the Kelley side of things is slightly different than the instructional design of the Manchester unit. So in essence, the Kelley Direct units as part of our joint program are 3 months long, whereas the Manchester ones tend to be 5 to 6 months long. The 3-month ones offered by Kelley, because they're fully online, will actually tend to, in essence, be quite constant. So you can expect every single week to have online lectures and to have a very small deliverable in the form of MCQs or some contribution in discussion forums and so on a weekly basis, really. So it tends to be quite constant. In the case of the Manchester units, what we tend to do is we tend to focus our instructional design a lot around our face-to-face workshops, which are typically 3 days, so that we can ensure that you get around 25 hours of face-to-face with our academics, which is the same that you would be getting if you were doing a full-time MBA, but in a very, very concentrated period of time. So when you do those workshops, the level of intensity is quite staggering. In essence, you're investing a lot of time during those 3 days on the courses, but yet we have more peaks and troughs on the lead up to the face-to-face workshops and after, or that post-workshop period. We typically would have around 4 online lectures during that semester, so usually around 2 before the workshops and 2 after the workshop, but that means not every week. And then we also have voluntary virtual office hours, in other words, opportunities for you to just meet the academics in your own terms and ask them whatever, or chat to them about whatever you want. And again, typically it would be 3, 4, or 5 times per semester. So rather than being 3 months, ours are 6 months, but there's more peaks and troughs. It's perhaps a bit more flexible, whereas the Kelley ones will be expecting you to be online in terms of lectures on a weekly basis, not on a daily basis, but it would definitely be an online lecture pretty much every week.
Appreciate. One last question, Xavier, and then probably we can call this session off. The final project, is it usually a group project, or it's an individual contribution which goes to the final online project?
No, it is a group project, and you can actually choose to do it either with a group of students through a supervisor at the Kelley School of Business, or through a supervisor at Alliance Manchester Business School. So depending on really what you want to do and what type of expertise you actually want to gain. But it's a group project.
Great. Well, all right. So that was quite informative, Xavier, and thank you so much for giving your time for this presentation today. And I'm very sure the people who attended must have been benefited on the minute finer details of this dual degree program. And since we are going to share the recording on our social platforms, we will make sure that it reach out to all those people who registered, but for some reasons they could not join us this evening. And thank you very much, Xavier, and have a great rest of the evening. And thank you everyone who joined us for this session. Have a great weekend further.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Bye now.